This is the World Today Weekend on CKNW News Talk 980. Now, here's Simi Sarah.
Welcome back to the show. All right, a new study from an executive search firm shows that only four of the CEO positions at Canada's 100 biggest public companies are female. Really? After all this time, after all the climbing the ladder that women have done, getting into the workforce over the last 30 years, that is the end result. Just 4 out of 100 are actually female. So why is that? Well, one of the authors of that study joins us now, Alan Zelnicker, from partner and spokesperson from Rosenzweig Company. Hi, Alan.
Hi, Simi. How are you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Boy, this is really quite surprising.
It is, and we've been doing this report for about 5 years now. And I'll quote my partner and one of my co-authors on the report, Michelle Morin. It's disheartening. Our first year was 2005, and the results were 4.9% of all of the top positions from those 100 companies were held by women. We're now at 7.4%. And there really hasn't been change in terms of the number of CEOs.
Well, so when you do your research and your report, is there any indication as to why this is the case?
I think there's a myriad of reasons. And I always start by saying that I'm a glass half full type of person. I don't think that there's institutionalized gender bias, at least not on a large scale. I don't even think people are conscious of their decisions when they make these hiring decisions. And I think what it comes down to is people tend to hire people like themselves. If you ask them if there was any conscious discrimination, of course they'd say never. But when you're recruiting an executive or you're promoting them internally, you always look at 3 things: experience, skills, and fit. And when it comes to experience and skills, it seems that there seems to be parity on a short list between the men and the women. But when you get to that funny thing called fit, well, they can't always name why they're going in one direction. And I guess I can quote former President Andrew Jackson, who said, "Ask a man what's in his heart and in his mind, and you can ask him to deceive you." So no one will really either tell you that that's what they're doing, and they might not even know themselves.
Yeah.
First of all, change needs to come at the top. And I'm going to use this opportunity to praise my managing partner, Jay Rosenzweig, who for years it was he and I, when we just started the firm together, that were authoring this report. And this last year, we broadened the team to make it a much more collaborative effort. And Michelle Morin, one of my partners, was one of the authors. And a woman named Dana Lerner also came on board in the last year. And I want to give you an example of Dana's situation. She came to our firm last summer, and Jay, in the first interview, apparently within 5 minutes, Dana mentioned she had just found out she was pregnant that week. So this was true to form. It didn't shock me, and certainly I think anyone in our firm would have taken the same attitude. Jay said, "Well, that's fine. Let's move on with the interview." And she ended up joining us, and in those 6 months accomplished more than I think most people could have done in a year.
Wait a minute. Are you sure this isn't a fairy tale? Because I can't imagine that happening.
It happened, and
I know too many women who are even afraid, already working to tell their boss that they're pregnant.
Well, this is true, and I can get you testimonials. In fact, Dana continues to be, although she's on maternity leave now, she continues to be a close part of our firm, and we're looking forward to when her leave is done and she comes back. I'm personally looking forward to continuing mentoring her. I talked about that being an important thing. It is absolutely not a fairy tale, but you're right. There are a few stories like that. So great credit to Jay, and quite frankly, the firm that I'm a part of, which I'm very proud of. But other organizations need to take an example for that. We, as influencers, as executive recruiters, do share that story to say don't be short-sighted.
Well, I've often said that if companies just invest a little in women, even when they are, going to have children, they'll get a very productive employee in return, as opposed to not investing in that employee, and then there's no incentive for that woman to come back to work.
I couldn't agree with you more, and I'll tell you, it was interesting because there was a catalyst in Jay and I doing this report, and it really started with a spark with Jay. In 2005, there was an ad executive who soon resigned after making this statement at a group in Toronto. He was asked why there weren't more women at the top ranks in advertising, and his response was, well, too many of them leave to go have something suckle of them. And I think it was a horrible comment, and he resigned immediately. And basically his defense was, I'm not saying that women are incapable of rising up the ranks. What he said was they just decide that having children was more important. What we all know now is it's not a one or the other.
Did this man not have a mother or a wife or a sister? I mean, how?
Well, I don't know how what he had to go and face at home and what
No
happened,
kidding.
But personally, I'm surrounded. You talk about my wife and my family, my sisters, sister-in-laws, my mother. They're all very strong women, and I think they helped shape how I look at these things. But I mean, it's a deplorable comment, but unfortunately, he justified it by saying it's not that women are less, it's these choices they make.
Oh, please. You know what? The biggest mistake any company can make is thinking that a woman who's going to have a child is not valuable to their company. End of story.
Absolutely. And the reason I brought up Dana was to, demonstrate that as well. And we've seen it firsthand. And it's interesting when you talk about other things to do, I think it was Roseanne Barr who said, we would solve all wars if the world was run by a committee of grandmothers. I don't agree with that one either. Our next associate that we hired at Dana's level was a gentleman by the name of Dan Flatt, and he's doing really well right now. And what's been great there is we're looking forward when the two of them can come together to have that diversity. I think an all-women leadership team is no better than an all-men. I know we're not getting there anytime too soon,
right,
but the key is diversity.
Well,
diversity of attitudes, perspectives, and a lot of that comes through gender.
All right. Well, Alan, thanks very much for your time today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
That's Alan Zelnicker, the co-author of the report on why there are so few female CEOs in Canada's biggest public companies. I'm Simi Sarah. You're listening to the World Today Weekend.